digital project management. So I really wanted to take you back, give you a sense of what project management was all about, really set that scene. And then we then talked about, some examples of digital projects, because what I wanted to do again was to, even though I'd taken you back to what project management was all about, I then brought you forward again to now put that, what I've shared with you, into context for when we now start to really get into the digital project sort of like arena. So I gave you some examples. I gave you some areas to think about in terms of, what kind of projects are really digital. And then we talked about skills. Okay. So this week, what we're going to do is we're going to look at some very key areas in terms of when you're talking about project management. We're also going to look at what are the key marks, when you say that I am a project manager, I'm a seasoned project manager, an experienced project manager, what does that look like? And then we're going to look at the how. How is project management done? All right. And to do that, we're going to look at two main areas, which is Prince2 and PMBOK. Okay. So let's get straight into it. Okay. Right. So we're going to look at some very key areas in terms of projects, right? You might remember that last week, when I was giving you an analogy, I was giving you a scenario where somebody could tell you that I'm taking you on as a project manager. And I gave you some pointers that, in as much as that person thinks that they're taking you as a project manager, you in yourself should know what a project looks like. Okay. So when somebody is offering you a role, because what that tends to happen in careers a lot, people will give a particular role or a job a particular name without really understanding what it is, what that role really should look like. Okay, but you are a project manager, you're coming along, someone's offering you an opportunity, you already have a sense of what that area should look like. So whenever you're about to step into an opportunity, first of all, confirm that exactly what they're offering you is what is actually that's what you're actually going to be doing. Okay, so when we talk about a project, okay, a project is about bringing a change, and that change could be an outcome, so it's an happening, it's something that is not really tangible, but you're basically changing the way something is done to another way of doing it. Okay, or it may be an output. So an output is tangible, it's a product, it's something that you can see. Okay, so it could be an output and it could be an outcome. All right, and whether it is an outcome or an output, they need to have benefits. Why am I stating this? It's because so many a time you walk into an organization, they tell you that they have a project or program delivery set up, and you can't quite pinpoint what it is that they're delivering. It happens a lot. Now, why is it important for you to know this? Because if you take on a project which is supposed to deliver something, and they are not clear what it is, you are not clear what it is, when are you all going to arrive at a place where you are all clear what it is? This is where the dispute comes in. Okay, so the point that I'm making now is that, first of all, for projects, first of all, confirm that what you're doing exactly is a project. And a project is defined by being an outcome or an output that has measurable benefits. I gave you a definition last week. I'm not going to give you a definition again. I'm just pointing out that these are very key areas in project management. Okay, so you've understood that you're managing a project. What is it that you're delivering? We call that scope. What is the scope of what you're delivering? Somebody comes along and tells you you are a property developer, for instance, and they tell you, I want a house. Well, what does your house look like? Is it a 4-bedroom? Is it a 3-bedroom? Is it a 2-bedroom? Will it have a garden? Will it have a frontage? Does it have a garage? What does your project look like? Okay, so these are very key areas as a project manager. You need to establish that very quickly. When you meet your client, that client that you're talking to, that CEO, that managing director, that account director, that whoever it is that you're talking to, who is the front for the business, who you classify as your customer, may not necessarily be the ones who will use what you are about to deliver. So it is important that you understand who your stakeholders are. So yes, your client who you're talking to, very important stakeholder. He's the one who is interfacing with you at that particular time. But at some point, he may bring in other colleagues who are also stakeholders. And what are stakeholders? Stakeholders are the human beings that have a stake in your project. They have an interest in your project. So if, for instance, you have been called to deliver an outcome, you have been called as a project team to go into an organization and change the way they manage human resources. That is a project, okay? But who are your stakeholders? All right. So pretty much everybody in that organization is a stakeholder of that project. But you're not going to talk with every single person. You're going to have representation from that each department. Okay. But the mistake that we make more often than not is that we do not get that full representation. We only speak to maybe one or two groups. We roll out this new outcome, and then the other groups now come to the table and say, what on earth is this? You must be kidding if you think that I'm going to allow these processes into my area. And do not underestimate the influence and the power of some people. They don't necessarily have to be senior in that organization for them to have a considerable amount of power and influence. Okay? In the UK, for instance, if you are talking to the PA to the CEO, you are not talking to some little secretary. You're talking to somebody who's very accomplished, who has the ear of the CEO. Okay, so if your project does not have the kind of sponsorship or acknowledgement or clout, should I say, then your project could quickly be going down the tubes. But can you imagine if you have a good, solid relationship with that CEO's PA? You haven't swept her to the side and ignored what her input could be. You've invited her to the demonstrations. You've invited her to the stakeholder meetings. You've sought out her opinion. That person can be the make or break of your project. So stakeholders, very important. Budgets, budgets. Budgets are very important, as we all well know. And timeline. How long before this project is actually going to land? That is severely underestimated. And when you severely underestimate your timeline, you will severely underestimate your budget. Okay? You can work with a number of, you can be in a project, especially if you work with somewhere like in the UK where we do a lot of daily rates. So we have a lot of contractors and they are paid on a daily basis. So now you have about 6 contractors on your project, all right? And you wanted to present to the sponsor, but the sponsor unfortunately couldn't make that meeting. So you have to wait the following week. Those contractors are not going to go and stay at home till the following week. They're going to charge you for those 5 days that they have to wait to present to your sponsor. Do you see almost immediately there that you need to have a backup plan? You need to be saying to the sponsor that, please, if you can spare an hour in the evening, or you can spare as you're traveling to the airport, perhaps we can do a Skype meeting, a Zoom meeting, because this is the implication. I've got 5 very expensive contractors on my project. They're going to charge me for those 5 days, or for those 5 days per day rate. And on average in the UK, we are talking that the least you can expect from any contractor who is an expert in their field is £400 a day, sterling. They will not take Ghanaian cedis. You can be rest assured. So think about that. These are the key areas that we are managing when we're talking about projects. All right, so it's very important that you, when you are taking on a project, especially when you're taking a project that has started already. The reason why there's a lot of times when projects are got to a point and the project manager has to leave. Most of the time it's because there's a problem. So be rest assured, 95% of the time when you come into a new project, there are problems. And the things that you need to iron out very quickly: scope, stakeholders, budget, timeline. Okay? So that is going to take me on to something that is a concept within project management. It's a concept within project management, and they call it the triple constraint triangle. Okay, so what I like to do whenever I go online and I pick up other people's ideas and concepts, I leave the copyright in there. I leave all their markings in there because I'm acknowledging that this is their work, or else what I can do is just crop this all out and it becomes my work. But like the the business and analysis teacher was showing us earlier, what is the implication of that? For all we know, this could have some sort of digital security print that when it's used anywhere, it flags up with the owner. And before you know it, you have a lawsuit on your hands. And that's the reason why I always leave my references in. Okay? That's just a sidebar. Now, so this is called the project. This is called the triple constraint triangle. Okay? As you can see at the top, they have called it the project management golden triangle. Why is that? Why is it the golden triangle? The concept of a golden triangle of scope and the 3 constraints is vitally important for you as a PM to grasp. Okay? These are the 4 areas that need to be defined when you take on a project. They define your ground rules, essentially, that you must operate within. And just as importantly, they must be consistently balanced and traded off with each other during the course of a project. What am I saying in essence? See this scope here, right? That's scope. We're going to start with that. The scope, like I explained to you before, is what you are delivering. Okay? It's the deliverable. That's what we are going to show the client and say, hey, Mr. Client, this is your deliverable. So first of all, you've got to get a sense of what that looks like. All right? What are you delivering? Is it an outcome? Is it an output? Do you yourself understand the benefits that it will bring? If you don't understand the benefits it will bring, how will you articulate that to your client? How will you articulate that to your client? So let's have an example, okay? Let's say your CEO has asked you to organize an away day for himself and his directors, right? The CEO and the directors, they've asked you to organize an away day. And I'm not sure whether you guys do it in Nigeria, but they do it a lot in the West, where the senior people will go away and go and plan. They get away from the workplace and go and have blue sky thinking. They go and bond together and do all sorts of things. All right? So they've asked you, so you're the project manager for that project. Okay? You are to deliver that. So one of the key things that you will be looking at is the hotel. Where is it that they're going to have this away day? All right? Where are they going to have the away day? So you're going to have to look at quality. What is good quality? So one of the constraints of this triangle is quality. So if I say, yes, they're going for an away day, they're going to this hotel, what kind of hotel then? Is it going to be a 3-star? Is it going to be a 4-star? Is it going to be a 5-star? Is it going to be near to the airport? Will it be in Lekki? Will it be in Victoria Island? Or possibly, should we position them by Oshodi? Okay, so we're talking about quality. And when we talk about quality, that is the basis of which they will accept that project as being delivered to their standard. So when you talk about quality for any output or any outcome, that will begin to dictate to you what your schedule is going to look like. It will begin to give you an insight in terms of cost. All right. So let's look at the next constraint, which is a schedule. Okay. Now, in this particular instance, this is why, as a project manager, you take on your project and you take some time out to step back and really look at this. So now, in this particular instance, where this person is to deliver the away day, when we talk about a schedule, we're talking about how long will it take. So that might not apply in this particular instance because it's possible that the date is already fixed on this. So in terms of a schedule for them, they are working towards that hard stop. But when you talk about a project generally, say for instance, you want to deliver a bridge, a road, you know, a block of flats. Now we're talking about how long will it take to create that block of flats, that bridge, that road. So that's what we're talking about, schedule. And when you're talking about schedule from that perspective, you are now talking about what are the resources that will produce that deliverable. How much time do we need from these people? Now, if you are, if it particularly applies in the UK because we use a lot of contractors and we use a lot of day rate people. They charge based on the days that they're giving you or they're working for you. Sometimes that might not apply if your organization is full of employees where, you know, at the end of the day, everybody's on a salary. But think about it again. When you are putting these people on this project to this particular client, you should be charging them on a day rate or some sort of rate to be able to build your cost. Because if you are delivering a project where predominantly it's really about that person's knowledge, it's really about that person going there and doing things, then it is not tangible. You're not charging the client for 6 bags of cement and 1 cup and this and that. Okay? If you charge them based on just those deliverables, then where will you make your profit? So no, you are charging them based on the expertise that you have deployed on that particular project. So that's when schedule now becomes important, because now you are balancing the quality, you are balancing the schedule, and then you will have to balance that with cost. Can you see why this is now a triangle? Because they are constrained. Your quality, if you've agreed that you are going to deliver as the project manager a 5-star hotel and you signed on the dotted line without taking into consideration the cost, without finding out that, okay, if I book a hotel in Lekki, it is very, very different from when I book a hotel in Oshodi. That is, if there are any hotels in Oshodi to begin with. I don't know. I'm just saying. Okay. So if you sign the dotted line that you are going to deliver, you've put yourself in a bit of a bind. So as a project manager, one of the key areas that you really need to look at is your scope. What have they asked you to do? To what extent have they asked you to deliver in terms of quality? How long do you have to deliver that? And how much will all of that cost? All of these 3 things working together will impact your scope. All right? That's a very key area to bear in mind. So that's one fundamental area that you need to have at the back of your mind. Now, what makes a good PM? What are the marks of a good PM? Now, a good PM is someone that, as time goes along, you know, they have a solid grasp of what it is that they're doing. They now are an expert in their field. All right. So if we take it into context for you guys, where you're starting out. All right. You could be a project manager. Yeah, that's true. But whether or not you're a good one, these are the areas that you need to bear in mind. A good project manager is a subject matter expert. What's a subject matter expert? A subject matter expert is someone who is very good at what they do. That particular subject, that matter, they are an expert in it. Okay? So, but there is that question that, well, how do I become a subject matter expert if I don't have the experience? Because we all know that experience is a fantastic teacher. It's a good teacher. When it comes to the things of project management, until you get your eyes and your ears and your hands around in that environment, in that project environment, you know, you're still missing a trick. So to really call yourself a good project manager, you have to have a very good idea of the subject matter in question. So it's either that you've worked in this particular organization, say for instance, you've worked in the Federal Ministry of Works for quite a while. It won't be too difficult for you to become a project manager, actually, because all you would need to now need to learn is the different methodologies, the different tools, the different documentations and things that you need to bring together to be able to manage a project. Why is that? Because really and truly you have now, or you should be, if you've been in a place for 5, 10 years, you should really be an expert of what is going on in there, okay? You should have a good sense of what's the culture like, what are the do's and the don'ts, who are the people of influence around here. When we are constructing a road, generally, what are the suppliers that we use? Generally, what are the problems that we face? Generally, what are the risks that we always have to take on board? That will sort of like give you 80%, your 80% there. And what I'm going to show you this morning will be things around methodologies. And then once you understand those, you can apply it to the work that you already know, the area you already know. So to be considered a good PM, you have to be a good subject. You have to be solid in your subject matter. Okay? And it is not too hard for someone who is very good in their industry, in their trade, to become a PM in that area. There is also the school of thought. There are some people who believe that actually you don't have to be working in that particular industry for a good number of years if you are a seasoned project manager, if you are a seasoned program manager, if you are a seasoned program director. You don't necessarily need to know that area yourself. There are some people who believe that. All right. Why is that? It's because if you've been working in project management for a while and you have a very good track record, that approach doesn't really change. And all you need to do is when you come into that area is to look for the person who can deliver your outcome, the person who can deliver your output. That's all you need to look for. And you manage them. If you're a good people person, you communicate well, you're good in terms of time management, you're good in influencing and negotiation, you're good at pulling people together and making things work, then it's very possible that you don't necessarily have to be a subject matter expert of that industry, of that particular activity for you to be taken on as a project manager. But generally, I will tell you, particularly in technology, the preference is to go for somebody who does have who has worked in that industry, who has worked with that technology. Why? Because it's very expensive. Generally, when you put somebody on, it's about at least 3 months before you start to consider that this person is not really delivering. Why waste time? So that tends to be the go-to place. But if they're finding it hard to recruit in that particular area, they will go for a seasoned project manager. So in other words, for you to be considered to be a good PM, subject matter, very important. All right? You need to really start to think, where do I want to go with project management? In as much as they're teaching me business intelligence, they're teaching me business analysis, analysis. They're teaching me all this fantastic stuff. But where do I excel? Where do I do well? Where can I take all this beautiful knowledge that they're sharing with me and go and apply it where I am good at? So subject matter expert, a must. A manager. A solid PM is a good manager. They manage time, they manage resources, they manage people, and they manage budgets. They are also a good leader. Successful PMs. Now, note the word successful. Okay, successful PMs are good leaders. Okay, leading is not the same as managing. Okay, leading is not the same as managing. The main difference between the two is that leaders have people that follow them, while managers have people who simply work for them. Okay, so you can shout all you like. You can, be as aggressive as you like. If that person that you are shouting at and making all that noise at has decided to give you just 50%, that is all you are going to get. You are not going to get somebody who is going to go above and beyond. Why? Because you have not inspired them, you have not influenced them, and you're not getting the best from them. That is the difference between a leader and a manager. Okay? So a successful project manager is someone who knows how to lead people, influence, inspire, motivate, listening, active listening, not shouting. And, those kind of people that, they're just shouting orders. They're not getting their hands dirty. They've not rolled up their sleeves. They've not done anything to be part of that project. Only just barking orders, going from meeting to meeting, achieving nothing. That is not a leader. A leader always leads from the front. There is such a concept called the servant leader, where the leader is actually there to serve the people that are under him or her. I know that is a struggle for a lot of places, not only Nigeria, there are a lot of places where that does not really come alive. Okay, that's why there is a difference between a leader and a manager. Okay, a good PM knows how to negotiate, not only just money, knows how to negotiate time, knows how to negotiate deadlines, knows how to go to the senior stakeholders and woo them in such a way that he or she gets what they want, but will deliver at the same time. They're able to negotiate. They're able to kind of like, say to people that, okay, if you do this, we will do that. And if we do that, you will do this, and that kind of thing. Okay. And like I mentioned before, the mark of a good PM, an influencer. Okay. You being able to encourage people to see things from your point of view, influence their decisions, influence their thinking, inspire them to think beyond what is the status quo. These are all marks. This is not a conclusive list. These are just kind of like those areas where, if you're going to call yourself a good PM, these are the areas. They are soft skills. You see that there's not a lot of hard skills there. It's the mark of a good PM, because a project manager spends at least 80% of their time in meetings, from one meeting to the other, communicating, negotiating, influencing, getting results, getting people to move from here to there, moving and resolving conflict, moving difficult situations forward. They spend a lot of time talking, communicating, resolving problems. So that's why you see that on this list that I've provided this morning, it's very much about who you are and not what you do. Communicator, I've just added that there as well. So I've already set the context in terms of when you come into a project, one of the very first things, even though I've shown you that triangle, we spent like literally maybe like 10 minutes on that. You will see that when you walk into a lot of projects, for certain projects, they spend a lot of time on planning. So those three constraints that you're looking at, they will spend time, they could spend at least a month to 6 weeks planning those three areas. If we are talking about a multi-million pound bridge, like the ones, I don't know if you guys have seen the bridges that they build in the likes of China, those kind of bridges, they could spend the whole year planning. Those three areas, what is the scope? Or the four areas rather, what is the scope? What is the quality going to look like? What is the cost? And what is the timeline? They can very much, and under all of those things, you will have different techniques as to how you will arrive at a place where everybody's in agreement. Okay? So that's the first area, the major area for any project manager. And then you then looking at yourself and being able to say, do I have a good temperament? Am I good at influencing other people? Am I good at listening to other people? Am I the kind of person that thinks I am the one that is always right all the time? Am I the kind of person that I have empathy with others? Am I the kind of person that I am able to deliver? These are all personal traits. Those are marks of a good PM. Okay? Attention to detail, meeting deadlines, being able to get to places on time. You know that Lagos traffic is what it is. What have you put in place to be able to overcome that so you're on time every time? Now, this is the time to actually set those standards, because it seems that we have those challenges, but in order to get out of those challenges, one of us is going to have to come up with a solution. And in order for you to come up with a solution, that first comes from your mindset. All right, so these are the marks of a fantastic project manager. So now we're going to look at how. So when you talk to people about how do we do project management? You're going to come across a lot of terms. You're going to come across a lot of terms. Some people would call those terms, they will call the how approaches. Some people will call it methodologies. Some others will call it frameworks, standards, or principles. Okay? Now, when you're talking about an approach, it's a way and manner of accomplishing something. Okay? When you say, how am I going to approach this? All right? How am I going to approach the delivery of this particular project? So that's approach. All right? Then you have methodologies. Methodologies, they're kind of like systematic ways of doing things, a step-by-step accomplishing of something. So when you say something is a methodology, this is the method in which you achieve success in this particular activity. All right? Then you have what are called frameworks. Frameworks are broad, they're an overview, they're an outline, or a skeleton of interlinked items which support a particular approach. And they serve as a reference point. All right? Standards, now a standard is something that is expected. When you say, if I'm going to get onto public transport, my standard is that public transport should have wheels. That my standard is that it should not be full of it should have the right capacity of people on it already. You shouldn't have double the capacity or triple the capacity. That's a standard. As far as you are concerned, those are your standards. Somebody else may have lower standards. It's like, so long as the thing is moving, I don't care. I don't care if it has 2 wheels or 1 wheel or 3 wheels. If it's moving, I'm on that bus. Those are standards. Okay? So as project managers, there will be particular standards that you expect. So what, for instance, if you have a planner or a PMO analyst or a business analyst come and join your team, you have a minimum standard. If you are a business analyst and you're joining my team, I expect you to be aware of the business and business analyst practices. I expect you to have this type of qualification. I expect you to do those are your standards. that might apply in that particular situation. It might apply, it might be, you might accept a lesser standard in another situation. Okay, and then you have principles. Principles are those things that, you know, you're not really going to budge on. Those are how you make your decisions. So when you go out into the project world and the program management world, you are going to see a lot of approaches, a lot of methodologies, a lot of frameworks, a lot of standards, a lot of principles. So once you kind of like get a sense of what these words mean in your own head, and people now start to use it interchangeably, at least you, for one, you know what you are talking about, okay? Because they are used interchangeably. Somebody may say that, you know, Agile is an approach. Somebody else will say it's a methodology. Somebody else will say it's a framework. Does it really matter? Not really, because we're not really, so long as you understand the concept of Agile, okay, that's all that matters. So don't get too swept away with the big grammar that comes along with it. That's essentially what I'm trying to establish. So the first how we're going to look at today is called Prince2. Okay, it's a methodology and the standard. Why is it a methodology and the standard? Because it's got processes within it, okay, and it's also got themes and principles within it. So it's setting a standard. It's saying that if you're going to use Prince2, these are the things that you should take into consideration. These are the minimum that one would expect. So if you said to whoever is joining your project and they said, oh, wow, so which type of approach do you guys use, or what methodology do you use? You say Prince2, right? Okay, so when they come into your project space, they'll say, you are using Prince2, but there is no business case. I think you are using Prince1, or maybe no Prince that has no number at all. I think you're slightly confused as to what you're doing. That is the reason for methodologies and standards, to be able to set best practice, to be able to say that this is the minimum that I will accept. All right, so let's look at Prince2. Right, so Prince2, right, let me give you some background. I like to always give background. This thing here, it really gets on my nerves. Okay, so Prince2 comes from the acronym Projects IN, which is in controlled environments. Okay, projects in controlled environments. That's where Prince2 comes from. And if you go and do a search for Prince2, there's a bit of a background to it. It originated in the UK, and it originated around the time where it was needed to acknowledge a certain standard, a certain baseline for how to deliver very expensive, with a notable level of risk type activity. It was around that, you know, that you now began to set standards and say that, okay, if an activity is not part of what we usually do, it's a project. And these are the types of approaches and controls and monitoring that we're going to apply to it. So you've got the Prince2. So some people call it a framework, some people call it a standard, some people call it a methodology, whatever. The idea is that this is what Prince2 looks like. It's both, from my standpoint, it's both a methodology and a standard, and it is worldwide, okay? Prince2 emphasizes dividing projects into manageable and controllable stages. That's one character of Prince2. The Prince2 method comprises of 4 integrated elements: the principles, the themes, processes, and the project environment. So the project environment tends to be that place whereby you don't really have the people who are running, you know, doing the usual activity for the business in the project environment. Even though they may sit with their colleagues, that project environment is where that activity is taking place. All right, and it is where these principles, themes, and processes will apply. Okay, so that's why you have like a project environment, you know, because in that particular space, the CEO is not necessarily the person who's going to call the shots in that space. That space now has its own project board. It has its decision-making governance. It does things the way that it has been set out for that activity. So let's look at the principles. Okay? So, in order for you to say that you are running your project using a Prince2 type approach, methodology, whatever it is you want to call it, the very first thing is that you should have continued business justification. I think I labored the point the 2 weeks ago when we met and today, right? If you come into a project and you cannot pick up why you're doing this project, it's most likely because it's not been defined. If you ask for a business case and there is no business case, oh dearie me, it's because nobody has really, it's in people's heads. Everybody has kind of like an idea of why we are doing what we're doing. But if you say you're running, that is why it's like, if you walk into an organization and they're not particularly following any particular methodology or standard or best practice, that is the reason for failure. That's going to be a reason for failure, because you're not all in the same boat going to the same place. You're not all singing from the same hymn sheet, like they like to say in the UK. So if you walk into a project and no one can actually articulate to you why we are doing what we are doing, as in, this is the business justification why we're doing what we're doing. And it was like that last month, it was like that 2 months ago when we started, and it is still like that today. If someone cannot give you that, there is a problem. So the very first principle for Prince2 is continued business justification. There must be a justifiable reason to be running and managing the project. If not, the project should be closed. It's that simple. It might not be simple in reality though, because there might be a lot of reasons why that project is running. Okay? But at least you know, you the PM, you have an understanding of the peculiarities of your project. You understand the complexities that you are being asked to manage. Do not deceive yourself. There will come a time where the people that are above the people that are calling your shots, unless the CEO is calling the shots himself, they will ask you, why on earth are you running this project? What is it that you're hoping to achieve? And you need to have an answer at that point. Okay? So, principle number 2, learning from experience. Okay? We call it lessons learned. Okay? Prince2 project team should continually seek and draw on lessons learned from previous work. Seems very obvious, isn't it? Very simple, common sense, right? So generally what happens when you're about to build a house, what do? You go and ask other people who have built houses. You ask them for their suppliers. You ask them for the problems that they encountered. That, in essence, in the simplest form, is a lesson learned. And then the person who you're talking to will tell you, well, trust me, if you are going to buy any land in Lagos, you have to go to that particular department and that particular person and that particular way of doing things. And, you was like, well, I didn't know it was that stringent. I thought we could pretty much do whatever we like. It seemed like, we live in a bit of a lawless land. And they will tell you that, really, go and try it and see what will happen to you. They learned from experience. So when you are running a project, once you have a sense of what your scope is, what your budget is, what your timeline, go and find out, either within that organization or outside of that organization, when you run this type of projects, what were the lessons that you learned? Principle number 3 for Prince2, defined roles and responsibilities. The Prince2 project team should have a clear organizational structure and involve the right people in the right tasks. How many times have I walked into a project and I've said, please, where is this particular document? And I'm told, oh, that's the responsibility of the project manager. And then you go to the project manager and you say, please, where is this particular document? Oh, that is actually the responsibility of the business analyst. Who is confused? Which one of you is confused? Because I just coming from that person said that you are the person to speak to. Why is that? It's because nobody sat down, number one, to draw up the roles and responsibilities for that particular project. Then number two, when as people are joining, sit down with them and say, this is your role. This is your responsibility. This is your area of accountability. You have to make sure that you deliver on these areas. Nobody does that. So if that is the case, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a problem because it has not been clearly defined, it has not been discussed, and it has not been agreed. So you're going to have a situation there. So let's look at principle number 4, manage by stages. So when you're managing by stages, if you say that you're doing Prince2, your stages should be planned, monitored, and controlled. Why is that? Okay, so you could start off building your house, right? That you would probably be in, if you're in the first stage where you're planning, and then you find out in that planning stage that there is actually a structural fault on the land that you're building. This is the reason why you plan by stages, or you plan, you monitor, and you control. You control that stage. So in other words, you have not gone off to go and buy cement. You have not gone off to go and do anything that is coming on in the subsequent stages. Why? Because you are in stage 1. You're first of all planning. Okay? You've not started to think about what's happening in stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. You are controlling that project by sticking and making sure everybody's doing what they need to do in that stage. And that's what we mean manage by stages. Whenever you take on a project, you sit down, you break it down by phase, you have periodic reviews. Those periodic reviews are called stage gates. So once you finish planning and you've got a sense of what needs to happen, you've done your feasibility study, you've done your business case, you've done all of the things, you've done the necessary to really say that, yes, we are now ready to initiate this project, right? Once you've done all of that, you come into a review board and they will now review the situation and they would now agree or disagree that you should continue with your project. That's what we call managing by stages. In digital project management, Prince2 doesn't tend to be the approach that we go by, but we will get to that, okay? Even though in reality, that's what people are practicing, sort of like a Prince2 type approach or waterfall type approach. Why? Because Agile is not actually very easy to set up, to practice unless you are set up right. But we'll get to that. Let's not jump ahead. So this is Prince2. This is a methodology that has been around since the 80s. This tends to be the go-to methodology approach. And in Prince2, if you are managing your project using the Prince2 principles, you stay in your stage. If you have not designed, you should not be developing anything. If you've not planned, you shouldn't be designing anything. You should not be stretching your neck to see what is happening in service deployment, because you've got no business over there, because you are still in your planning stage. That's managing by stages. Managing by exception is when people working within the project should be given the right amount of authority to effectively work within the environment. What does that mean? So think about it. The people who actually give the money or sponsor the project, they're quite high up in the organization. They don't really have time to be sitting down with you guys on a daily basis and managing this project, okay? So managing by exception is when you give the project manager, right? You give them the authority to make decisions in that project. That's why you have a project environment. Okay, that particular activity, even though they are seated in the same building with all their other colleagues, their own governing and how they make decisions is separate from the organization. So when you're managing by exception, the project manager has the authority to get the project back on track if it's running late or it has gone over budget. They will give them something called a tolerance. They'll say, okay, your budget is 20 grand. You have a 10% tolerance, which means that you've got like £2,000 to play with until you have to come crying to us to tell us to come and save you. So don't come if you're still like 21,000 over, you know, £1,000 overspent, 1,500 overspent. Don't worry, continue. That will be fine. Okay. But if issues arise that will impact the established requirements, that's an exception. Okay. And the project board decides the best way to proceed. So managing by exception says, don't come to us until you've got to a place where the tolerance or the allowance we have given you, you have exceeded it. Then you escalate to us. All right, so that's why the principle here says people working within the project should be given the right amount of authority to effectively work within the environment. If the project manager has to keep on running back and forth to the CEO to get 20 naira and 30 naira and 40 naira, that's going to be annoying. Okay? So that's what managing by exception means. Focus on products. Prince2 projects focus on the product definition, delivery, and quality requirements. So whatever it is that's being delivered is consistently checked against the requirements that were set. And that is done by the quality theme. So there will be a whole quality strategy that the team are following that would have been set. And it is that quality strategy that they will use to judge whether or not whatever it is that they're delivering actually is going to meet expectations. And then the last principle is tailored to suit the project environment. Prince2 must be tailored to suit the project's environment, size, complexity, importance, capability, and risk. So the way I would manage my Prince2 project, right, may be very different from the way it is managed in a global organization, for instance. Because what you're supposed to do with Prince2, as you can see here, is to take these things and tailor it to your own environment. Okay? So your quality strategy might be very different from another organization's quality strategy, but you've got the gist of it. You know that there should be some sort of strategy. So therefore, you will take that concept, you will take that framework, you will take the guidelines that they give you, and you use it to construct something that works for you in your own organization. That is what we call tailoring. And those are the 7 principles for Prince2. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to show you in terms of Prince2 is the processes. Okay, let's go on to the processes. Now, what are the processes? It's these things here: starting up a project, directing a project, managing a stage boundary, managing, closing the project. These are all processes. Okay, so why is there a need for a process? So you've been given a framework, but you need kind of like a roadmap. You need a step-by-step as to how to get to where you're going. All right. So when you look at your plan, you know that you're supposed to deliver a house. Okay. So where do I start from? Should I start from the roof? Do I start from the garden? Or is it the suckerway? What do I do? Is it the sewage system? What do I do? All right. So that is why Prince2 will give you a process where he will say, these are the areas you need to focus on. So the first process is starting up a project, okay? And this is when, you know, starting up a project could be 2 people walking along in the corridor. The CEO is coming down and says, guys, I noticed that the garage is looking very shabby. I want it sorted out. That's a project, because you guys don't sell garages, do you? And you don't lease garages. So that has become a project. So now to start up that project, You now need to go and prepare something for the CEO. He's talking and he's walking. He's left you two and he's already gone to his office. But as far as he's concerned, he's told you guys to go and sort something out. So it can be, and this is where tailoring comes into. Now, for go and sort out the garage does not mean you now bring some sort of 70-page document to him. No, obviously not. All right. But what you would do is you would call what they call a project mandate. And in the mandate, it'd be very brief, you know. Essentially what you've gone to do, you've gone to go and sense, okay, what this is what will mean, sir, if you want us to refurbish the garage. Okay. So he will assess it, or whoever he wants will assess it, and that will then be approved. And when that is approved, it means that the budget has been associated with it. People have been, assigned to it. Remember what we've talked about at first, the constraints. So your scope. So this garage, sir, does it cover both of our offices, this one and the one next to? Because you guys have two plots of land. Your offices are across 2 plots of land. So you're asking him, do you want us to do just this garage for this building or the other one? What is the quality? What kind of finish do you want, sir? Okay, what's the timeline? I hope there's nothing major that is happening in the organization that we have to make sure that the garage is ready and for that particular timeline. And how much, sir, are you dedicating to this project? That's starting up a project. Now, that's a very basic way of looking at it, all right? But again, projects do not have to be quite formal. They can be just a conversation. People can be in a meeting now and decide that they want something. And because that something is not what you guys normally do, you will have to set money, time, and people aside. And that needs to be started up. Okay, so that's starting up a project. The other process, the next process is then directing a project. Okay, so direction is given by the project board. Okay, the project board reviews and evaluates the project briefs based on business justification, viability for another round of approval or disapproval. They decide what needs to be done in order to organize and execute each approved project. That's what directing means. That's a process. And that happens way across. So once you have started up your project, okay, then you know that the next thing is that you need to start direction. And for direction to be happening, it means there needs to be a board, a project board. There needs to be representation on that board, representation from the user's point of view, representation from the supplier point of view. So that board needs to be set up. Again, it's like tailoring. So for Prince2, you have to tailor it. This garage that we're about to do now, does it really require a project board? Maybe not something as grandiose as if you were doing something very major, but you still need to have people within that group that comprise that really make up that project board, who will be giving insights, representation from a client point of view, representation from a user point of view. So who are the people who are going to be using this garage? Who are the people that are going to be authorizing this garage? Who are the suppliers we're going to be using? Who come and represent them in this meeting? That sort of thing. You need to go through a process of setting up a board who will oversee the entirety of this project. So once your board is set up, then you now initiate your project. Okay, because now you've got people who are actually going to say, right, let's have a look at your brief. Let's look at the suppliers that you have got. Let's look at where you are going with this. What are your concepts? What are your ideas? What is your feasibility? Now you've got your project, but now they are ready to direct your project. Now you are now going to initiate your project. And it is here that you start to create documents like the project initiation document. You got your project plan, your baseline. So you've kind of like established, you've gone back and forth. Between all of this happening, starting up a project, directing a project, initiating a project, a lot is happening. Maybe the garage is not a very good example in terms of that a lot, but a lot is happening. You go first, you say, okay, this is what we're proposing, sir. What do you think? He says, no, this is not what I had in mind. Okay, so what do you have in mind? I'm not sure, but when I see it, I will know it. Okay, wow. That's going to be a lot of meetings before you guys get to a place where you can baseline your cost, baseline the quality, baseline the scope, and agree what benefits will come. And when you talk about baseline, baseline is setting, they call it drawing a line in the sand, as in, here it is. This is going to be the cost. It's 1 million. The quality, the chairman has said it has to have this, it has to have that, it has to have that, and it has to have this kind of thing and this kind of thing. The scope, we're only actually doing for this plot, we're not doing for the second offices. And the risk of that is, well, if we then decide to do it for the second office, these are the risks that we've identified and what are the benefits. Once all of those are agreed, you now baseline it, you write it down, you baseline it, you mark it down. So that if the CEO comes again and says, do you know what? It doesn't make any sense to just do one plot of land. It makes sense to do both. Then he comes back and tells you know what? Please, let's include the other one. I know it's going to be an additional cost. I know it's going to be additional risk and everything, but go and tell me what that implication is. So you have to go back to those documents, update them, and then, because you've got your baseline already, you now got to now go back, re-agree all of those things, and then set a new baseline. Okay? So that's your initiating your project. Controlling a stage. Remember, I was explaining to you at first that keeping in a stage, if you are planning, you have no business, or according to Prince 2 anyway, you have no business looking over the fence at what's happening in service transition. You're not there yet. You've not agreed your plan. You've not baselined anything. So don't start designing and planning and designing and developing when you haven't agreed your plan. That is the Prince 2 principle. So if you say to someone who's joining your team that we are following Prince 2, that is going to be their expectation. You're now not going to tell them and say, oh, you know what? We are actually doing iterative developing. Yes, we are doing iterative developing. We are doing some agile on the side. So we're going to start to develop some products, you know, and that person is thinking, but you said you're following the Prince 2 methodology. How can you be iteratively developing anything on the side again? It never works. It never works. It's either you are following the agile methodology, or you're following the Prince 2 methodology, or you are mixing them together. That is possible, but you have to write it down, make it plain so that everybody is on the same page. So when you're controlling a stage, you're in that stage, you're not doing anything in design, you're not doing anything in development. That is there. And that has its pros and its cons. But as we are going more into the course, I will show you what the pros and cons of adopting which methodology for which type of project. Okay, so according to Prince 2, you're managing your product delivery, and what you're doing there is at intervals, you're going back. You're not writing a PID and forgetting it there until the end of your project. You're going back to it as the project manager. You're looking at it and you're saying, in this PID, it says we are to develop a yellow car. How on earth do I have a green car now? When did that happen? What? Did I forget to update my PID? How is it that this car is now green? So you, as the project manager, you have to keep on revisiting your documentation, your business case, your PID, to make sure that you are actually developing in line with the criteria that you set at the very beginning. Okay, so that's controlling. So now you're managing your product delivery. You know, you're looking at it, you're making sure that all the documentation that you set up now is in line. And if it has changed, track back, find out why did it change. Or maybe you had actually agreed a change with the sponsor, but you hadn't documented it. Go back, update your documentation to reflect what is on the ground. That's Prince 2 principle. And then managing stage boundaries is when you come to a place where you complete a particular stage. So say, for instance, you're in the planning stage, right? You now have to go through a formal meeting, right? You sit down with your project board, you now take them through that in this stage, we did X, Y, and Z. These are the problems we faced. This is how we overcame them. This is what we spent. You know, whatever you feel that is necessary for the project board to know in that particular. And now you're saying to them that, so in other words, we are now ready. We've completed this stage. We now want to move on to the next stage. That process is called managing a stage boundary. It's commonly referred to as stage gates or phase gates, as in you cannot pass this gate to go into the next stage unless you have that meeting. Unless somebody outside of your project looks at what it is that you say you have delivered and says, yes, this is going to be exactly what we need. You can now pass go. You can now, like as they do in Monopoly, you can now collect £50 or whatever it is that they collect. Okay? And then the last process is closing a project. This is particularly important, right? As the project manager, what you want to do is you need to, once you've delivered, you believe you've delivered, you'll go through another meeting, sit down with people outside of your project, review all that has been done, and agree that all has actually been done. Because what tends to happen in a project environment is that there will be one or two things that still haven't quite completed. But if there is an agreement, you can actually hand over those one or two things to the team that you have delivered that outcome to. So especially when you're working in an organization, you know, you've created a new process, you've created a new product, you can actually sit down and agree with them and say, right, this is the product. It's about 98% complete. This other 2%, can we hand that over to you? Can you follow up with the supplier? Can they do this? Can they do that? And all of that kind of thing. So if that is agreed, then you can close your project. If there are any risks, you know, you want to do a formal handover of that product or that outcome, that change, whatever it is, you want to give it to the people that you have produced it for, created it for. Let them receive it. Let them take on anything that is not quite done. Let them agree with you that that will be completed. Or maybe you have agreed with them that even though we are closing the project, we are coming next week to complete those few issues. And that's why there needs to be a formal process of closing down a project. And that will include updating all your documentation, making sure that all the reporting is done. It is put in the right folder that everybody can find if they need to. They need to make reference to the project. If there needs to be a phase 2 or a replica of that same project, you put it in the right place so that everybody can get access to it. Okay? So that's the Prince2 approach. Okay, I think I've seen some raising of hands. Do you know, let me see. Okay, somebody's telling me that there are hotels in Oshodi, please. Oh, that's beautiful. But if your CEO does not like it, then you're still in trouble. Because for whatever reason, they may not want to go to Oshodi, for whatever reason. So that's the point. It wasn't to put down Oshodi, it was to point out that there are different reasons for different requirements. And in as much as you think this is a 5-star hotel in Oshodi, please don't make a fuss. That person may not want that hotel in Oshodi because they are traveling the next day and they want the hotel to be situated next to Murtala Mohammed Airport, which is in Ikeja, I believe. So therefore, you have kind of like messed up in terms of your delivery. That's why it's important to ask even the questions that don't even, you know, make, you know, that, come on, this is just common sense. Of course they will want, you know, of course they want their retreat to be in Lekki, not necessarily. You have to ask the question. Okay. Somebody raised their hand. I can't really see it anymore. Okay. Because we're running out of time now. Okay, I can't see the hand anymore. So let's continue. Okay. So the other approach I'm going to share with you this afternoon is called the PMBOK approach. Okay. PMBOK stands for Project Management Body of Knowledge. Okay. The Project Management Institute is the organizations. They are the body that oversees the project, the PMBOK, as it's usually called. The Project Management Institute is a global non-profit professional organization for project management, and they're based in the States. Okay, so the PMBOK is it is the entire collection of processes, best practices, terminologies, and guidelines that are accepted as standards within project management industry. Okay, so these are some of the publications that they do, and these publications, they call them foundational standards. So in these particular publications that they do, these are the standards that they set. They'll be very similar to Prince 2, you know, very similar to Prince 2. Okay, and then they have things called practice. So in other words, risk is kind of like, you know, they've kind of like set a standard across the board that if you're managing risk in rail, you're managing risk in power and, you know, energy. It's more or less the same approach, but you will have some peculiarities. Okay, so that's when you're talking about risk. You're talking about organizational project management. You're talking about business analysis. Those are all standards. And then they have now come into practices when you're talking about scheduling, when you're talking about particular risk management, and you're talking about value management. Those are practices. So basically, that's why they're called the project management body of knowledge. So what they've done is they don't really have a process. They have all of these practices, all of these standards that they've brought together under one roof. They've done their research. They have a very active group of professionals that are consistently feeding into what they do. So, you know, that's why they call it the body of knowledge. Okay, so they provide project managers, program managers, anyone in the field of project management with guidelines and best practices. They define everything from project lifecycle to project management strategies and concepts. They go into detail on various project management processes that interact and overlap throughout a project lifecycle. So that's why they're called a body of knowledge. All right. So how is that body of knowledge split up? Okay, so there's 10 knowledge areas. I'm not going to go through each one of them. Okay, these are the 10 areas. And within those 10 areas, they have 47 PM processes. And I believe actually that has been updated to 49. So this would have probably been from the 4th edition, but we're now in the 6th edition now. And it's most likely that they've updated the processes to include agile practices. You know, as a result of the digital evolution, they've had to update what their body of knowledge, if you like. Okay. So they've broken down projects into those areas, you know, these 10 areas. So whenever you're looking at a project, from their point of view, they're saying that there's a way to do communication, there's a way to manage your costs, there's a way to do integration management, there's a way to do risk. So those are the 10 knowledge areas. All right. And they have their own 5 stages that they prescribe as well. They say that, you know, if you're going to have a project, you know, you should be looking at an initiating stage, you should be looking at a planning stage, you should be looking at an executing stage, you should be looking at a controlling stage, and you should be looking at a closing stage. Notice that with them, they've put initiation, some as a starting point. When you look at some other methodologies, approaches, they may call it concept. Because at that point in time, you're not really sure what it is that you want to deliver. Somebody has come to you with a problem, so now you have to develop a concept. But in some cases, you know, you actually know what exactly you want to deliver. So you're just going to go straight along to initiate. See, this is the reason why you got to get a sense of what is out there. You got to get a sense of being able to tailor all of these things and adapt it to your own environment. So if you're mixing Prince2, you're mixing project management body of knowledge, you're mixing all of these things, that's not a problem. But because what you have to then do is you need to come to that unique place for your organization as to how that looks. Okay, you've got to be able to come to that place where you now agree with everybody, and everybody within the organization says, in our organization, this is how we do project management. This is how we do program management. We follow the PM book. We take a bit of this, we take a bit of that. We make something unique, and that's how we do things here. All right. So all of these methodologies and approaches, they are there to guide, to tell you that if you want to plan, this is the way good planning is done. Okay. If you want to control, this is the way good control looks like. All right. So that's what all of these methodologies, approaches, frameworks, we've just looked at just 2 today. Okay, but there are quite a few out there, and these tend to not be the ones that is recommended for digital project management. But what I wanted to do was, first of all, set the scene for you that these are the methodologies that are out there. There's actually quite a few out there. Well, the last time I checked was about 15 to 20. All right, but which ones are the ones that are widely used? Okay, that are very easy to use. They tend to be the Prince2 or the PM book, or adaptations of the Prince2 and the PM book. Okay, so now when you come into, so the PM book guide, this is their most up-to-date process flow, right? So what they're saying, in other words, is that when you want to do initiating, you will have a bit of integration. Remember when we were up here, they have integration as an area, integration management, right? So these are the 10 knowledge areas. It is broken into 47, and I think it's actually 49 PM processes now. And these are the PM processes. So they say that when you're initiating, go to integration. Whatever it is that they've asked you to consider in integration is 4.1, develop your project charter. Okay, and then you now go to stakeholder management. You take 13.1 and identify your stakeholders. So this is how they've taken those areas, and they've taken, that is why it's called a body of knowledge. Okay, so it's like a jigsaw puzzle where they've taken different areas and they've brought it together to create the process flow. So when you want to do planning now, you go to scope. Okay, so you go to the body of knowledge around scope. You look at what they've suggested there, and you follow that particular approach. Same thing with schedule management, plan. This is costing. This is costing. So you can see that these are the areas: integration, stakeholder, scope, schedule, cost, quality, communications, resources. Can you see integration is here again? So that particular book that you will find, that standard will be, everything in there will be about integration. But you're now taking the aspects of that integration and you're now slotting it in. So you need a bit of it in initiation, you need a bit of it in planning, integration down here. And then you come to executing. So when you want to execute your project, you need to think about your resource management, your quality. See, integration is back again, 4.3, 4.4. So that book is there. It will be numbered 1 to whatever, and then you will now be taking it like little slots and putting it in. And this is how PM book have suggested you use their approach. Okay, so that is why they are called a project management body of knowledge, as opposed to a methodology or an approach. Because as you can see, you have to take bits and pieces of it, and you need to piece it together to be able to do what you want to do. And it will also apply if your particular projects actually match what they are suggesting. Okay, so that brings me to the end of today's session. If we have any questions, let's quickly get to that so that we can pass over to big data, I believe we're having this afternoon. Do we have any questions? Okay, we might have one. Okay, you mentioned Prince2 as a methodology as well as a standard. Could you please explain what differentiates Prince2 from Prince1 and why Prince2 is used as the standard? Okay, so I think I was being a bit sarcastic earlier when I said there was Prince1. There was actually a Prince1, but basically what happened was that they had Prince1, which would have been Prince1 at the time, and then when they did an update of it, they, because this is what tends to happen. So before the digital evolution that we are in right now, we used to manage projects, okay? And these organizations existed. We had the PM body of knowledge, we had Prince2, we had all of these places. But when the digital evolution happened, they have to now go and update all of their practices, all of their standards, all of their research, and they now have to, incorporate the digital element to it. So at some point, they would have had Prince1, okay? And then Prince2 would have come along as a result of there being more developments, okay? So obviously you're going to use the more up-to-date version of the methodology. So I think at some point I had mentioned Prince1, but that was more me being a bit sarcastic that, if you are managing, if you say that you are using a standard, then you should really be using it to the fullest. Because what is the standard doing? It is helping you to set the bar for your project. So you're not going to accept anything less, which is one of the uses of a standard, all right? So there would have been a Prince1, but that would probably have been, because I think Prince2, if I'm not mistaken, came out in the 80s. Let me just do a quick search. When did Prince2 start? Okay, so first established in 1989. Prince2 was originally based on PROMPT, which is another acronym that stands for Project Resource Organization Management Planning Technique, which was created in 1975 and used by the United Kingdom for its information system projects. So at some point it was called PROMPT, okay? So whether or not there was a Prince1 after that, hold on, let me see if there's a Prince1. When did Prince1 start? Okay, I don't think there's a Prince1. I think it used to be PROMPT, and then when they updated it to include other areas, because from 75 to about maybe 10 years later, then they started to call it Prince2 and changed the name. Okay. Okay, so that is that. All right, so it doesn't look like we have any questions today, which is good. If you do have any questions, you can put it on the group. That's fine. Let's see if we have our next teacher ready. No, it can be used in various different circumstances, Taiwo. So you can use it for products, you can use it for change, you can use it for, and that's why the last principle is called tailoring, okay? So with tailoring, you take the standard and you use it the way that works for your particular situation, okay? And that is why there's so much information around it, because the idea is, as a country, as a global economy, we waste a lot of money when it comes to projects. So when you see people go through a lot of trouble to establish a standard, what they're trying to do is effectively to minimize waste. So if we can all agree that, okay, this is the standard that we're all going to be operating to, the idea is to minimize waste, to minimize, wasted effort, wasted money, and that kind of thing. So you don't have to use it for just product management. You can use it for project management. You can use it to a certain extent for program management, because program, I think the same organizations are the ones that have managing successful projects, sorry, managing successful programs. So that is the program version of it. And I think it's this, you know, it's the same kind of ideology behind that. Okay, so Mr. Gaston is ready. All right, if you have any other further questions, please let our coordinators have them and I will answer accordingly. Let me pass the mic over to Mr. Gaston. Okay. I think I'm going to make you the host actually, Mr. Gaston. Okay, I've made you the host, Gaston.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tayo. Now we're going to let me stop this because we want to have separate. Just a moment. Boom. Okay, let me check that is recording. Fantastic, guys. This is recording, and 2 hours is going to be just fast, but let's see what we can do. Okay, to give you this teaching. So we are still working on this. Today we're gonna do a dashboard. Okay, it's gonna be your first dashboard. And the reason we're gonna be doing this because we don't want to step outside on the training or the materials that we've been given and things like that. So today is going to be your first dashboard. All right, guys. We want you to be excited, okay? And exciting about new technology. I think it is actually the real deal, okay? And is also to do with the mindset. If you can't be excited about what you are dealing with or what you have, I think you are devaluating the materials or the things that you have. Okay, so excitement or mindset, like I can do it. It is the real deal. I can give you all of this. If you don't make your mind that you can do it, then you can't. And if you made your mind that said your mind that I can do it, yes, you can. You can do it. Yeah. So there is a lot of myths that going on. Okay. Oh no, you can't do this. Oh no. This is no-go area and all of that kind of thing. A lot of myths, we call them. Okay. No-go area and stuff like that. I debug all of that already. I've debugged, and some of you have actually agreed that yes, Gaston, what do you say is true? You can become anything. You can become what do you want to be? And then one of the best data scientists in our company, where when I was working, the guy was a fisherman. He always do fishing. Okay. And then just says it's cold. He had enough. You want to learn technology and become one of the best data scientists. Okay, so your motivation matters as well as your attitude. So quickly here, Raphael, 2 weeks. Okay, if you don't follow me, I can help you much. So I've clicked on these followers, the people who actually follows, and click follow here. So I can see here, Raphael, we are in our third week, no visualization. You tell me what happened. Not right now, but tell me later on. Tell me later on what happened actually. I've got Baba Jide Aliu. Okay. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing this correctly. Well, in our real class, we do introduction. People call, introduce themselves, and we know the name, how it's pronounced. But here, I'm just going to do this, and if I'm not pronouncing properly, then please forgive me. Okay, so where is your visualization? Where is your data? Show me data. Okay, okay. So I've got 2 people here, no visualization whatsoever, and I'm going to do a random test. Okay, Shahid, where is data? Show me data. There's nothing here. Okay. Ojo, good. There is only one vis, just a random check. Let me see here. Did you do both of them? There is only one visualization, which you're supposed to have 2 of them. And if I'm gonna, if I'm looking at it closely, if I'm looking at it closely with the eyes of analytics, if I open this, this is not to pull your leg or anything like that. So this all anywhere you say orange supposed to be negative figure. Okay, even you say here, looking at this data visualization, looking at the data visualization, Montana had performed badly. Montana, what is Montana? This is Montana, performed badly. But have you actually looked at how did they perform? It's supposed to be negative. I'm looking at it, it's supposed to be negative. This is not negative figure. You see, negative has to be minus something. They're all here. So start opening your eyes. When you say something in data, has to match the visualization. So a quick recap. No, not recap yet. I'm still helping you here. So Ojo, make sure you go back and then download that data afresh. Make sure sometimes a couple of you have done it and I've seen there is no negative figure. For whatever reason, I'm not sure about that. But download it afresh again and do it, and you will get it. So still you got one visualization left. You have to do that. Constant, no visualization. Show me data, nothing here. Idara, no visualization. You got the tools. You got the tools. You got to use it. Okay. Let me give you something like analogy. You got weapon. You got it. You got weapon. You know, last time I used the same analogy. Make a lot of sense. You got weapon. I mean, gun. Do you know it? Gun. So people who got guns, people are scared of them. All right. You got guns. You got even bullets in it. Okay. You got the bullets in that gun. And if you don't know how to shoot, tell me, are you a dangerous guy? Yes or no? And the answer is that you're not dangerous. Okay. Okay. The fact is that if you got guns, you got weapon, you got bullets in it, and you don't know how to shoot, you're not dangerous. You're not dangerous at all. So my point is that we're giving you a tool, powerful tool, that you can wow your company today. You can wow your university today. Let them give you data. That's all you need. Give me data. And if they give you, you take that data, plug it in here, boom, do some analytics and show them what you can do. Where did you learn it from? Tell them I learned from TCSO technology. Remember the people you brought them in. This guy gave me a tool. It's called Tableau. And then I can do analytics. I can do big data analytics. I can do so much. Give me another one data and things like that. And you start marketing yourself, you know? Before long, they're gonna say, this sounds interesting. Let's see what this guy can do. All right. So you've been given a tools, you've been given a data set, and you haven't practiced it. You haven't done anything about it. What do you want me to do? You know. So that is to let you know what I'm interested in. So who else here? I've got this guy. I'm gonna get in touch with you, Abu Bakr B. Yeah, Abdul Kabir. Yeah, he already got the third week here. I'm not sure how quickly he got to that and how he did it. So yeah, and Olive or Cleve, no visualization, no data. Show me data. Jacob, no data. Williams, no data. Or Mayowa, no data. Okay, so 5 minutes. We quickly to let you know that this is serious business. Okay, this is serious. If you get into used to, they're not gonna find me all of that. No. With this one here, we actually know where you are. We can track you, everything we can track and give you, tell you that you're doing well, and then making sure that you can do it, because you can. All right. So talking a lot talking now. We're gonna stop and then go to show me data. So this is your first dashboard today, okay? And this is our third week. You guys been doing very well. I have to say this. And the reason I'm tracking all of this, I'm also want to give a report to LASU and also to Technology. Challenge 3. Who is ready for this? Huh? Let's see what we can do. Okay. So you're on a B. When you say B, this thing's BI is like this. Okay, business intelligence. Okay, so he's a BI guy or data analyst working. Guys, I'm reading from here. Okay, working for government due to the report regularly on their climate change policies and measures, United Nations Convention, industrialized countries. Annex 1. Developing countries, non-Annex 1, have included issues governed by Kyoto Protocol. They must also submit an annual inventory of their greenhouse gas emissions, including data for the base year 1990 and all years since, to meet the target requirement. Someone is saying what Gaston is talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna drop these things out for you so that many of you are students in you're doing mechanical, you're doing energy, you're doing oil and gas. Okay, so this is the real stuff that you're going to help us with, and you're going to implement this visualization and help your country where you are to tell them what is happening. Last time, some of the students actually approached the government, and we showed them what government, Nigeria government had said and did, and they approached them. It was a great, I think, fantastic show. Some of them give us a report. Actually, the government was like, they're like, how do you even know? How come do you even know? And they say, yeah, we noticed, and we just want to make sure that everything is okay. Somebody's trying to text. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay, good. So Elias also is doing this. Fantastic. So let's drop this data out so you see what I'm talking about, and boom. I think it's somewhere already. Yeah. So I'm gonna give these things to you in a moment. So you're gonna read it. You're gonna take your time to read it. We got 2 hours, guys, to go through this. So Kyoto Protocol doesn't sound familiar at all. You guys are students. All of a sudden you find yourself knowing what the government is going through as a problem. This is serious. Likewise, you will be in a good position to know what your company is facing as a problem, and then you're gonna do your analytics and helping them. Okay, so a lot of you, I've checked your data when you have submitted your things. A lot of you are dealing with maths and then physics and mechanicals and things like that. So these things are familiar to you, okay? Carbon dioxide. If somebody doesn't know what that is, it is just Google it. Carbon dioxide. It is these chemicals. Dioxide. This is the formula CO2. Okay, so we're not here to teach you the formulas, but we just telling you what had happened in a country. Each country has got this problem, and the United Nations, okay, United Nations climate change say, you give us a report, okay, you give us a report whether you are protecting your people from getting in troubles with, just a moment, guys, just a moment. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so yeah, each government has to protect his population. I mean, talking about health, okay, health, and you have to do something. You have to do something what United Nations is asking you to do to avoid problems that carbon dioxide can harm your people. All right, so looking like a big problem you're getting involved with, and they said here, you have been asked to analyze the world map, okay, world map CO2 data since 1960. To create the world map, this sounds like a big job right there. To create a world map and visualize which countries have the highest CO emissions and lowest CO emissions since 1960 in order to make an informed decision. Create an interactive dashboard report for your country and also for the world, for the whole world. That's right. Okay, this it is something that you're going to do now today, and you see whether your country has the highest CO emissions or lowest CO emissions. And CO, like I explained to you, this is carbon emissions that cars, okay, cars, you're driving cars can produce this, or you generating oil and gas in your country. Some of recruit of the oil and gas can produce this, or some leakings that it can happen. It's going to produce this. So it's a serious problem, and they want to know, your country say, please tell us whether we are the highest, okay, highest or lowest CEO country, okay? With their own eyes, okay, optical eyes, they can't tell it, but data can tell it, okay? So that's where you come in. It's so powerful. So this is all to do with this green gas, okay? So target for the first commitment period for the Kyoto Protocol cover emissions of the 6 main greenhouse. These are the 6 main. Okay. Do you have CEO? Do you have CH4? Do you have N2O? Do you have HFCS? Do you have PFCs? Okay, or SF6? Okay. So you have it. You got to minimize it. Okay. The maximum amount of emission measured in equivalent of the carbon dioxide that a party may emit over a commitment. Somebody's trying to help or to say something. Okay. Okay. When you say CO, when you say CO. No, it's CO2. CO2. I thought I was saying that. Did I say CEO? CO2. The formula is here. Okay, if I say CO2, CEO, I'm talking about CO2. Okay, let me see. Did you hear carbon dioxide? Yeah, it's carbon dioxide we're dealing with. Okay, great, awesome. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do as a country? You can say no to these people. Okay, they're gonna go after you. All right, they're gonna go after you, and they've called all the countries. All the countries showed up, and they made this. They made this what we call this law. You want to call it this Kyoto Protocol, and they say, okay, you go and do these things and report whether you emit or not. Are you the highest country or the lowest country that emit carbon dioxide? Let us know. And you can't just say no, because they know what that can do to your populations. Okay, then all of a sudden you're gonna do this. You're gonna do this, and you're gonna use this tableau. I will give you the data right now, and you're gonna do it. So before we even I give you the data, we want to just give you some definitions. Okay. If you know the definitions, then when you start doing it, make more sense. So dashboard, we said here your first dashboard in Tableau. And a question is like, what is interactive dashboard? Okay, so interactive dashboard, I'm reading from here, guys. Once you have definitions, and then when you're dealing with, you know the theory and you know the practice. Good. So definition alone will help you a lot. So an interactive dashboard is a data management tools that track, analysis, okay, monitors, and visually display key business metrics while allowing users to interact with the data, enabling them to make well-informed, data-driven, and healthy business decisions. I love that. Okay, so that's what this dashboard is all about. This is the definition of interactive dashboard. So you're going to be using it's a tool. Okay, I'll show you how you use it, and then it tracks it. It filters. You're going to do filterings. You're going to drill down. There's a lot you can do with the data just using that dashboard. Okay, so but then there is also something called a static reporting. Okay, so there is the interactive dashboard versus static reporting. Okay, so it used to be, there is no doubt about it. Interactive dashboard provide businesses with insight that have never been possible before. You can't argue about these Tableau things. These people, I believe that they're genius. They spend a lot of money to make these things happen. But then, gone are the days of static presentation, stagnant report and waiting on analysis to pull report and then having out-of-date data. Thankfully, it is also time to take a step back from your spreadsheet and a slide, while Excel and PowerPoint and the various other spreadsheet and presentation applications they still remain important business tools for many, but their interactivity options are very, very limited. Okay. Some of you have done a report, for your companies, you using Excels and all of that, presentation, PowerPoint, this is very, very limited. So you will see how powerful dashboard Tableau can help you to drill down or to filter or to put data together and see, just get something out, drill down in a specific area and see what that can do. Awesome. So we want to connect the data. Okay, so before we connect the data, I'm giving you this data right now. Show me data, I'll give you data. Don't worry about that. So I want to drop that data over here. Here, and I'm just gonna click this, and how do I call it? It's World Bank CO2. Boom. Okay, data set. Today data set. Just call these things today data set. Boom, you got a data set. I believe that everyone here has already the tools, the Tableau tools for you to use it. If you don't, I'm going to give you, well, after this, I've got at least five students among you that are going to be really helping you. You can approach them anytime. They've I think their ability to do these things tells me that they know what they're doing. Okay, you're going to reach out to them and get this. So also, I want to give you this. I want to give you this so that you read it. Take your time and read what I'm talking about these Kyoto things and how seriously it is. Boom. Kyoto Protocol target the first environment. Yeah, you got it. Okay, so it seems like you are dealing, all of a sudden you're going to try to help your government from nowhere as at this level of student. Okay, this is how in a sense, you're dealing with the data, you'll find critical problems. You're only searching problems, okay, and providing solutions. And the government as its own, as a nation, okay, cannot tell much. They can't tell it. They can't tell much. Sometimes some of our students, after when they do this data analytics, what the government said and sent the report to the United Nations, they did not back it up by data. And we're not saying that other countries, they did. Countries like UK, they did. US, they did. China, they did. Qatar, they did. All of those countries, they back it up, okay? They said that, look, that's what we did, and we think because of the steps that we've taken, we can have greenhouse. We can be clean. Okay, we can actually get rid of the CO2. When Nigeria sent his report, no data back it up, no data. And they say that in I believe some of our students found out that they say that in 5 years, there will be no CO2, no carbon dioxide in Nigeria. Okay, but no data back it up. And you today can figure it out. You can literally see whether the trend is it upward or downward. Okay, is it going to, is it going to stop, or is it carry on? All those leakages in the countries, cars, do they do something about it? Do they have electronic cars? You know, all of these things today, you student can be at a position to support or to correct government when they say something. Okay, so because most of the things when they say might not be backed up by data, and you cannot predict if you don't take approach based on data. All right, so we're gonna do this in a moment of time, shortly. Okay, so you got the data, you got the tools, guys. Let's connect data to Tableau. Okay, let's connect our data to Tableau. So, like we're gonna do this live, guys. I'm opening my Tableau right now. Okay, so it's opening. Tableau desktop is opening. Let's see what we can do. Fantastic. Now that it's open, and when I send you these things, when I've sent you, fantastic. When I've sent you the data, you guys already know the data extension, which is in Excel. Correct. So knowing that, you tell me which would be the option I should connect with. So you guys know that already by telling or reading reading what is you're trying to say. Already, some of you, it is the first option because the data extension is Excel. Okay, so we're gonna click Microsoft Excel, and we want to connect the data. Boom! Look at this. Tableau actually did something. It graded out everything else, but it left only this option that has got Excels in it. Okay, and that's the only thing I can click from here. It helps you to avoid all the mistakes you would have normally do. Okay, what you're supposed to be doing as a mistake, and the school let you do it and give you lower marks. Okay, and keep you for next year doing the same thing again, and you pay again the same money, right? The Tableau, no, they're trying to help you right away that you do not even do any mistake. They're helping you. So this is the only thing you can click from here. So watch this. Boom. Click open. And as I click open, I got this data right away here in this place. All right. So what are we gonna do? What are you gonna do now that we connect? Let's connect our data. Okay, our data to Tableau. We have just done that. Okay. So we would step in and do some of the things. Guys, we are trying to answer that question. Watch this question properly. Okay, so this is the question. They're saying that you are the BI guy. So okay, business intelligence person, data analyst, and they say, please can you analyze the World Bank, okay, CO2 data since 1960 is a huge data. Okay, when we say big data, this is one of them. Okay, and they are saying create world map. Okay, create a world map and visualize which country have the highest CO2 emissions and lowest CO emissions since 1960. Creating world map. from where you are today. Some of you done geography and done some science and things like that. The tools that you're going to take and how long it will take you to do this kind of world map specifically. Let's see what you can do today. Okay. Boom. Let's see this. Okay. So this is the question. Now that you know the question, let's try to answer that question. And it says we want to drag and drop CO2 data clean to the canvas to create and preview the data set. Okay. So data clean. Why should you even go and drag that? The data clean is here. Because any variables, when you start doing it, you will realize that there are some variables that you would be interested on doing it, and some you wouldn't. So before we drag anything and drop it here and start doing our visualizations, we want to create this new sheet. Okay, so we would create this new sheet. Okay, and look at this. 1 second. Okay, guys, my apologies. Seems like I've done the wrong things. Okay, watch this. Just a moment. Okay, so the World Bank, I'm interested in World Bank. Okay, World Bank, this is different data set. Okay, World Bank, this is the guy. So there are many here. There are many things to do with Excel. Okay. Let me see recent. World Bank, that's the top guy. Okay, good. So open, boom. That's the baby. Okay, fantastic. So we said we want to drag a data clean to this canvas and start doing our analysis. So once you are in this position, you guys need to create this new sheet. Remember that? You click that. Okay. This is my data source. Data clean. You wanna just drag the data clean and drop it here, because the data clean is actually captured all the countries. Okay, so CO data clean, just drag it and drop it here. You're not doing any coding, they have already coded. So when we drag and drop the CO2 clean to here, what happened? You can see this is the preview data. You can see all the countries by alphabetic order. You can see here is huge. You when you have your time trying to fiddle with this data and have a look at the data, and you're going to have respect for this tableau. In a short couple of minutes, we're going to answer this big question that the country nations are battling about. Okay, so we have drag and drop data clean to canvas to create preview data set. Yeah, so if you guys are happy, we want to open a new sheet and start our analysis. Okay, so the new sheet, create a new sheet. It is simply by clicking this sheet 1. That's all. So take your time, not today now, but on your own time. You will go through this, and then you're happy with what it is there. Click sheet 1. So sheet 1 here. This gives us already the opportunity to start doing some analysis. Okay, so we want to drag countries. Drag country, okay, drag and drop country name to create a world map. This is all you got to do. The world map that geography it takes you to create. If you have tried it, I'm not sure how long did that take to you, but now we just want to drag country name here. Okay, you can see it has gloves on it already. So drag the country name, drag it and drop it to this place. Boom. That's all you gotta do. And you got now countries that you can see them, they're plotted. Okay, and this is the world map. You just create a world map. Okay, so we drag and drop country name to create a world map. We want actually now to add this carbon dioxide on it. Okay, so we want to add the CO2 per capita to the map. Okay, because this will give us to know which country has it a lot or does not, the highest or the lowest. Okay, so CO2 per capita, where is it? So it's already a numeric. So you're gonna see it's in the measures, and anything like a geographic name, colors is in dimensions. Last time, you guys know already what is dimension and what is the measures. So CO2 per capita, drag and drop it here, just like this. Boom. Look at that. Look at that. Things, it starts shaving, it starts taking, you can see some of the dots are tiny, some of the dots are massive. This is that how much the CO2 that country has, and the tiny one has a little of the carbon dioxide. Fantastic. So let's drag also, we want to drag and drop the CO2 per capita to the color, and then editing the color to green, red diversion. Okay, so CO2 per capita again, drag and drop it. This time you're just gonna go right again here. Okay, is there CO2 per capita, drag and drop it to the color. This place. Boom. This is looking good. It's looking good. And also we said we want to edit, we want to click on color, edit this color, click on edit, and what would you want to do? We want to click here and choose green, red. Is that what you said? We just said green what? Green, we want a green, red divergence, okay? We want to edit the color, okay? So green, red divergence. So green, red divergence, guys. So we want to come here. This is automatic. Tableau just assume the lighter the color here, the lesser the carbon dioxide emission the country has. The thicker the color, that's the highest carbon emission that country has. But we just choose to give that green red divergence. Actually, it was I think one of former student actually came up with this idea. But if it's like this, it's still good. But we implemented that kind of idea. So green, red. Okay, green. I'm looking at green. Green, blue, I can see here. Green, red should be somewhere here on the top. Okay. Green, blue, green, red, green, red, green, green, blue. Guys, sorry, I'm just ignore this one for now. Yeah. Okay. Green, blue. We want red, green diversion. Actually, we want green, red diversions. Red, green, white. Okay, sounds interesting. Okay, let me look at what we said here. So green, red diversion, green, red. I'm not seeing green, red here, but we have implemented this idea before. Green, red. I can see green, I can see red, green here, diversion. I can see green, blue diversions. I can see red, okay, red, green, gold. Okay, so let's pick this. I think let's go with this and see what is happening. Red, green, diversion. What do you think? Somebody trying to help? Click red, green, diversion. Yeah, that's what I just clicked there. Awesome. Elias is Elias Sunny is suggesting that I should click that. That's what I just clicked. Fantastic. So we have just clicked this on the color and click edit. When you click edit and you go to this place, the palettes, okay, color palette, we call them color palette. So on the color palette, you are trying to open this drop down, and we are interested to get red, green diversions, red, green diversions. Okay, and then this looking this we wanna say reverse. What do you think? We want to say reverse, okay? Because the green, the country, the less, when it's green, then you have no problem. But when it's red, that is actually a serious problem, okay? So we want to reverse this, and I think this is looking good. What do you think, guys? Green country, okay? When you say green country, means you have no problem with the CO2 at all, okay? So that student idea, I think is fantastic. So watch this. Is going to be red, 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 green, red, red, green, I think. Okay, so we want to get red, green. I'm not sure how this looks to you, but in analytics, color, it is color. It is powerful. You use color alone is very, very powerful to do your visualization. So we are happy to do that. So we can also we can actually now rename these CO2 emissions changes over time. Okay, why should we do this? It is actually, that's what happened. Okay, you can see here the red, like this country there, Qatar. There is that time, these people was the highest, they were the highest country on earth that has that carbon emissions, carbon dioxide emissions. It's terrible. And they ended up actually having this United Nations conference in Qatar, Doha, I believe so. Yeah. So watch this. We just wanna right click on this. You wanna give a title to some of you. When you've done your visualization, you left it like that. Just don't leave it like that. Just give it a title. Give it a relevant title. All you gotta do is to do right click. I just did right click here, and it say rename. I click rename, and all you gotta do it is to type. You type something relevant. Okay, so CO2 emission changes over time. Boom. I'm happy. What do you think? Okay, so the green, you have no problem with the United Nations. When you are in this red or you orange or something like that, you're still good. But when you get to the red, they're just going after you. You don't know yes or no. They tell you that you have problem. Okay, and You got to do something about it. Fantastic. So let's look at this. We already gone. 1 hour is gone, guys. 1 hour is gone. Can we make these things finish in 2 hours? Yes, we can. Okay. So we have created these things. This world country. We change the name. We give it a CO2 emission changes over time. Okay. Let's create a new dashboard. Okay. New dashboard. Okay, we want to create a new dashboard by clicking. It sounds like there is a lot of work need to be done right there. Creating new dashboard. We have read about dashboard. Okay, the definition just a couple of minutes ago. Okay, interactive dashboard. That's what we're talking about here. These tools tracks. Okay, it is an interactive that it tracks data, analyze it, it monitors it, okay, visually display key business metrics, okay, while allowing users to interact with the data, enabling them to make well-informed and data-driven and healthy business decisions. With one click, you will be in a position to do that, okay? So we want to do we want to say create a new dashboard. So you are, the word create alone, my seems like there's a lot of work for you to do, but that's all you got to do here. You're going to click on this thing. You've got 3 tabs here. The first one say new worksheet. If you want to open a new worksheet, that's all you got to do. You click on that and you have it. The one in the middle is called new dashboard. Do you want to create new dashboard? And if you want, then that's all you got to do. You click on that. You have dashboard. The third one is called new story. You want to do inside storytelling? You click on that and you have it. And you can start doing what it needs to be done. So we are interested in creating new dashboard. Guys, that's all you got to do. With one click, boom. We are now in a position to do something that you will realize so powerfully. So let's look what else can we, 1 second. We want to go back in our things here. Okay. Yeah, so we have created our map, okay, and we also drag and we have done all of that. So we have rename our title, and then fantastic. So all right, great. So I think we're gonna also create another visualization that to actually track simply countries without the map, without actually the whole world map. So let's look at this. Before we get into this before we get into the dashboard, let's get this. Before we get into the dashboard, let's get simply, we want to drag the CO2 to here, CO2 to here, and then also add CO2 per capita, and here to look at how that thing's actually evolving, okay, over time. So what we want to do from here, let's get our CO2 in this place. And the country, just a moment. Okay. So country name. And we got this year. 1 second. Fantastic. So there are two variables we want to get into here to create another vis before we do our combination of dashboard. Just give it a moment. We might take a step a little bit further. Okay, so we want to create this dashboard things on a sheet in the middle to combine the CO2 capital and then the CO2 emission over time, which is in our chart. Okay, interesting. So it is looking pretty much what we would have done here. Just a moment. We just want to get. We don't want this one here. Okay. I'm going to delete this one. I just created. When you do your stuff, you can actually delete one of the tab if it's not in line with what you're trying to do. So you can just remove it. I've just removed this. Let's get. We want to get the. It's not time for a question yet. Someone is saying I should repeat the process before. What was that? Which process? The one I've just did it? I'm not sure. So if you wanna say to me which one you were saying, which process? Maybe the process of getting these things to get the colors in like this, or let me see here. The question is saying that if I can repeat it. Just a moment. Let me see the question again. Oh, the sheet 2. Okay, the sheet 2. When we trying to okay. So here the sheet 2 here is still we're trying to create another sheet. Okay, so we are trying to do. We're gonna add. Let's add in the 2 sheet here. We're trying to do another visualization, which we're gonna do it right now. We've got this. Let's get regions. Let me see here. Okay, so sheet 2, we haven't finished sheet 2, so just a moment. Okay, we've got countries, which is fantastic, and we had our CO2 per capita, which is okay. What about okay, interesting. So that's not what we want. Okay, so we want actually one variables. Let me get it here. Latitude, we got this. That's fantastic. We got a year. We got countries, name. We got a regions. Okay. No, just a moment. So we got, let's get CO2 per capita here in the color. Elias is saying CO2 per capita first, then year and country name. CO2 per capita, year. CO2 per capita first, then year, then country. Okay, Elias just did it. I think it was 29, 2 days ago. So the on the sheet 2 here, we want to get another visualization which we want to combine. The dashboard actually takes you to. You have to have at least 2 or 3. Some of the dashboard you will find yourself getting involved with may have more than 2 visualization. So CO2, trying to double click on it. You double click on it. You can drag and drop it. It's gonna be literally the same. Let's get a year. You can also drag and drop. Okay, it's gonna be the same result. Country name, you can drag or double click. Just here. Okay, country names, we got this. Can drag and drop or double click in it. It's going to be the same result. I'm not sure whether you guys are following. So I can just go one step back here. One step back. So this sheet is clean. There is nothing on it there. Okay, Elias again is saying, is giving thumbs up. Okay, fantastic, great. Actually, you are among the 5 guys I picked anyway. so be sure to help your student, okay? To help other people at midnight when they wake you up. So you probably going to drag and drop. It's going to work. Or you do like the same thing I did, it will also work. So we wanna double click on this thing, double click on it, and double click. Why should you double click also on the year? You want to track from 1960 up to this data actually stopped 2011, I think, or something like that. And then now you want to add the countries in it. So country name, you just drag and drop it here. And all of a sudden, this visualization has been created. But I want you to remind ourselves that this visualization looks different from this one here. What do you think? So we want to also do something similar. We want to do something like the one before. Okay, which color is this? This normal color, the lighter, there is you have less carbon emissions, but the thicker the color, you are in trouble. So a student, we want to implement the same, we want to do the same thing so that we're gonna have the same kind of color palette. What do you think? So you double click on this color things, and you can see double click on this. Okay, just a moment. Okay, so we want to click on this, and we are looking for, okay, automatic. We just want this color. Okay, and we want to edit it. More colors. No, that's not what we're trying to do. Okay, let me shut this down. So what are we trying to do here? Guys, we're trying to get the same color green palette, okay, like this, to match them, okay? So that's what we're trying to do. So in here, sheet 2, if we bring the CO2 to color, let's get CO2 to color, it's there. So Okay, sizes, country name, that's fine. Okay. Labels that we're not interested in. Okay, automatic. We want this field, which is fine, is already here. Map field. Okay, so interesting. This is pretty much we got. This should, let me get here to the color. CO2 to the color. This is again lighter, like automatic color. You can see it is when you got 0, which means you are good to go. When you have that thick color, then you are in trouble. So from here, we want to have that exact color like this. Okay, green. This is the idea here come from one of you guys. Okay, from one of the previous student, alumni student. So we are implementing your idea, which is fantastic. But what actually Tableau or myself wasn't the case. We just let the Tableau give us this things like that. When you got light color, you are fine, no problem. But when you got these thick things, you are in trouble. So one student say, hey, why can't we, when we say green, let's change it. So we implementing your idea, which is fantastic. So let's double click on this color. Okay. Now, when we have this edit color, we're going to click on edit. Like this, you're good, but we're just implementing your idea. When we say green, let's change it. So in this color palette, I want you to click on this, and we are still trying to get these things. It is the green, red. Okay, red, green. Red, green diversion. This is the guy. We click on this, and you're gonna do a little bit here. When it is, you're gonna reverse. Why should you reverse? It is because you want the green at 0 should be green. That's the reason you are reversing this color palette. So when you reverse, this is it. This is it. So your country is green. You have no carbon dioxide emission. You have not emitted anything. Okay. So nobody's going after you. But when you are in this red like that, this is where you're in trouble. Okay, so what we're gonna say now, we're gonna just say, okay, boom, this is it. This is it. This is the visualization we're looking for. Okay, so when you pointed at the top, what can you see? You see that country is called Qatar, and in a simple world map, the red that you can see, the bigger the red is a Qatar. So your visualization actually matches in colors and in analytics. So that's fantastic. So here we're gonna call the CO2 maybe this one here. I would right click in here and change. And what are we changing? We want to call this thing CO2 CO2 World Bank, CO2 World, okay, World Bank since 1960, World Bank. 1960 correct. We're gonna say okay. And this sheet 2, we're gonna right click on it, and then give it a name. And this is what actually this it is. Right click and name. So the name we are giving here, this is the CO2 changes over time. Boom. Okay. So with 2 visualization, we actually have the idea that when the United Nations say green gas, okay, you're a green country. Okay, they put a lot of money just to minimize. Some of them cannot even have it. Okay, but they did their best. Okay, if you're not generating any oil, if you don't have cars, okay, in your country, or if you're not generating oil and gas, or you are not, you're good to go. But the countries that are generating got oils, got many cars, it is the carbon emission is just another problem for them, and they have to minimize it. Okay, they have to minimize the problem. And in 1960, we want to get 60 in 1960. Okay, so 60 here in 1960. I'm tracking this country, Qatar. Okay, 1960. Okay, 1960. They were actually the only country in the world that has the highest CO2. What happened? If you look at the trend, it dropped down. Okay, keep tracking it. It dropped down. If you want only to look at that country alone, you can just click on it. Just one country. Okay, click on that only, and you can see what is happening in the trend. Okay, so that country in 1960, you can see here 1960, they're on the green. Okay, the country were green, no problem whatsoever. But then when you move your things, the problem got started. It got in here was CO2 per capita has increased 63. You can see here, and that is where the problem was in 1963. Okay, there was the highest one, but then it dropped down. It means they are actually taking actions. Okay, then it went up again. Okay, the peak year in 1963. In which year? 1991. They were 1990. Yeah, 1990. That's actually where this conferences got started, I believe. In 1990, these people actually dropped completely to making sure it is Qatar. I'm tracking Qatar. Yeah, in 1990, Qatar, it is considered to be on to be like a green, Yeah, but then it started rising, it started increasing. Okay, at 1997, you can see it dropped down, and this trend here looks like it's going upward. What do you think? In 2011, that is still in green, but the trend is like it's going up. Okay, so this is your analytic. We're going to do a dashboard now in a moment. We still got 1 hour. Yeah, we're going to finish this. Okay, so if you click back, you got everything. Okay, so I'm just curious. To look at other countries. I'm just curious here. I'm just curious to look at. Click on this. What is this country? This is Hong Kong. Okay, China, Hong Kong. Do you think there is a lot thing happening in China? Okay, there's a lot of things happening in China. okay? A lot in regarding manufacturing, okay? If you manufacture in your in industrialized country, then you are facing that kind of problem. You have to have a way of trap that kind of track it and trap it. Okay, that's the word. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble. Yet China, there's a lot. All the manufacturing here, actually, in the world, majority of them have moved to China because of the labor, cheap labor. The government is smart. They say, no, bring it in, we can take it in, and all of that. Yet they're still in this green. What do you think? This got my attention. What do you think? You know? Okay, but let's pick. Just I want to pick another random country again. Just a random country. Which country should I pick? Okay, Angola. I want to pick Nigeria. Okay, so the easy way for me to get here is going to be here. So Nigeria got to be here, somewhere here. This is Nigeria, supposed to be here. Boom. This is Nigeria, and is I want to get that here so that we're gonna look at the trend. Okay, so in here it is the easy way we want to do this. This is where the dashboard make it easy. Okay, because we're using something called filter. You guys are ready to do the dashboard? I believe so. So so that we're gonna see what we can do with these data things. Okay, so like we said, to create a dashboard, we want to come back here. To create a dashboard, okay, let's create a dashboard. Okay, creating dashboard by clicking the sheet in the middle, combine our CO2 per capita, which is in our map, and then CO2 emission changes over time. CO2 per capita. Okay, and also the two, we're gonna combine them together. So I'm clicking back here. If you click back again on any data that you click on it to drill like that, you click back on it, and then you have it. It means it's back on in a normal way. Okay, so we're gonna do this. That's all you got to do is to click this thing in the middle. Dashboard. Fantastic. So what we want to do now, we got two visualization going on, and we want to combine it. Why should we combine them? Because we want to filter. We want to use filter, and that's what interactive comes in. So the first one here, this is the first one, and this is the second one. So I think we want to control. We want to make sure the first one controls the second one. What do you think? We want to drop it right there. Okay. So the layout of it, you're gonna try to find the way you want to do it by actually giving the sizes. If I click on this size, it looks like a normal. We want to give a size. Whether you can do the sizing like whether you want to on desktop or on mobile phone and things like that. Okay, so if I click on this, 1 second. Okay, so you can size this. Okay, you're gonna size it and making sure that it is given and at the right size. So from now, we just want to do this dashboard, and what are we gonna do? We want also to drag the second one, the second sheet. So you are trying to just to put them together before we do something about it. Boom. So we've got two visualization going on currently. Okay, two visualization going on currently, and device preview or something like that. We want to click on that. Which one is currently now? Tablet. If it's on a tablet, it's going to look like this. If you change this, you can set it on phone if you want to. If it's on phone, it's going to look like this. If it's going to be by default means that it's actually on desktop. I think so. It should be say desktop somewhere. Desktop, yeah. So desktop. The company, they use desktop, okay? They use desktop to watch these things. They're not like you that all the time on your mobile phone, okay? They only use a mobile phone to answer phone call. Majority of managers, CEO, you know, like a government, okay? They don't use their mobile phone for visualizing or data, not really. So you're not going to set it up on a mobile phone. What I'm trying to get your attention is that you can set your dashboard actually on tablet, to view it on tablet, or to view it on desktop, or to view it on mobile phone. Okay, so I should let you know that set it up by default or leave it on desktop. So for now, let's leave this thing on desktop. Okay. But is it interactive now? Is it interactive? Not really, not yet. So we want to remove these noises. Okay, you can remove these noises by clicking. We call these things legends. Okay, we call these things legend. You can remove the legend and we'll be okay. So if I click on this and it gives me this opportunity, like cross things, I can remove it. Boom. And also I'm going to do the same thing and I'm going to remove here. Why should I do that? I'm creating space. Watch this. Boom. And I say, okay. Delete contains. Boom. What do you think? This is larger right now. Okay. Visualization is about aesthetic. Is about looking good your visualization, and on top of that is to make it simple. When you have clouded information here, you might get them a bit of like confused. So remove the noises. We call them noises or legend if you wanted to. So watch this right now. We're gonna do interactive dashboard. Okay, this is still static. So there is no interactive happening here. If I click anything here, okay, I want to. Kata is the problem. If I click on it, nothing had happened here. That is static. Okay, that is static. Nothing had happened. I'm going to click back again, and then I have everything. But we're going to do something. We're going to use something called filter, guys. This is where you are moving from static dashboard to interactive. So we're going to use, usually you use the main visualization to do your dashboard. So we want to use this guy. There is something called use filter there. Okay, use as filter. What if you click on that? Click on it. Boom. Okay, so it says now, it means that it is now somebody trying to ask questions, some help. Okay, Augustus is saying if I can kind of recap from after placing the CO2 changes over time. Okay, no problem. I'll go to that. No problem. Okay, so we're gonna do some recap in a moment. So now that we have used the filter, what should we filter? What should we put these filters in? Because we wanna click one thing and everything else will give us that things only. prior, just 1 minute ago, I clicked on Qatar, nothing had happened here. What if now, let's click what is gonna happen? Boom, look at that. Look at that. So you can see the emission changes over time. You click Qatar and the visualization on the bottom give you the Qatar track. You move your cursor, is only Qatar, you can see here. Anything else is graded out. Anything else is gone. Okay, it's only Qatar you can see here. And now you give this thing to a company, to your organization. All you want to tell them is just trying to find your country and click on it and see the trend. Okay, looks like a big challenge, but he knows where his country is on the world map. Okay, so find your country, click on it, and you will see the trend. You will see whether you are greenhouse, a green gas country, or you have lower carbon emissions, or you are the highest. Okay, let's click back, and we got everything now, all the countries. Let's look at Nigeria, because everybody here is actually majority. We're teaching you from Nigeria to do your report and show that to the government, and we want to click on Nigeria. Tell them just click your country and see what will happen. Boom. Look at that. So everything else is graded out, but only on the world map you can see the country Nigeria is here, and when you look at the trend, you can see here what it is happening. So all the trend here, you can see only Nigeria. You move your cursor, is only Nigeria, and it is looking like it's going up. What do you think? Nigeria did a great job, I believe, because is now 0 something. Okay, it's like it's 0 something, 0.53 something. They're saying that they wanna get to 0 greenhouse country. I mean, they will not have carbon emission whatsoever. The only trouble, based on the report that they sent it to the United Nations, we're not back up. We're not back up by any data, But other countries say something similar, and then they show data. They actually show the data. Some of them actually have done a pretty similar visualization. You can ask some of your students. They did it. When they come across it, they're like, wow. So we're learning something serious here. So, but Nigeria, I'm talking about a nation, the country. They send the report with no data whatsoever, but they say something that in 2020, I believe, or something like that, that they should actually have a green gas country. I mean, there would be the lowest, no carbon dioxide emission whatsoever. So I can see here it's looking good. What do you think? Yeah. So what if you choose a country, other country? You tell me other country. Other country. Let me see chat. Look at the problem. It's red, but what is it? What is it? Is it like 0 something? Is 0.4? I'm not sure. But this trend is like going up. Okay. So it is amazing what you can do with this visualization. And this is another country you can see here, and trying to get countries around to look at it. These people that produce oil, they have problems. There are problems. Leakages going on, cars going on, manufacturing industrials going on, okay? If you pick this country, Congo, a huge problem. They started with the red straight away, but then it goes down, it goes down, it goes down, and the trend is green. This looking good. What do you think? Okay, yeah. So let's look at big countries like US. Okay, so you can see how important these things is. So from now, we're gonna call these things. You can, if you're happy with it, if you're happy with your visualization, you just do right click here, and you give it a name. So we wanna give this thing, we wanna call it, we wanna call these things CO2 dashboard. Oh, let's pick one country. Okay, so do it for your country. Okay, do it for your country. So I'm in the UK, so I'm gonna do this for the UK. UK is somewhere here in the top of Europe. UK is a little tiny island somewhere here. Just a moment. United Kingdom. Boom. Okay. So I'm doing this for United Kingdom. This is where I live. This is my country. Okay. So do it for your country. Do it for your country. Give them a report. Now look at this. In 1960, UK here where there's a problem. They were in the red. There's big problems, but they did not ignore the problem. Okay, since then they took, in here there's so many electrical cars, you know. They're trying to reduce. You can see here the trend is downward. The green trend is like going down. That there is still looking good. So once you click on that country, your country, and you can give it. You can say, I'm gonna call this thing. I'm gonna call this thing UK CEO dashboard. UK CEO 2 dashboard since 1960. What do you think? What do you think, guys? This is the dashboard. Okay, do for your country. So your country, you're gonna come here and click Nigeria. Boom, you have it. If you are logging from, well, I believe that this is just for you. I'm not sure whether people logging from outside, but this is just for you. So click on Nigeria and do your things so that we can. Okay. Fantastic. Good. So there's nobody outside. This is only for you. So do and say Nigeria. Give it a dashboard name. Say Nigeria CO2 dashboard since 1960, and you have it. So the question was, there is another question I'm trying to answer now. To answer, just give me a second, guys. 2 hours is gone. Just like that. 2 hours just gone fast. But I'm going to answer this question. I think it's critical. The question from let me check. From Augustus, he says if I can recap from after placing the CO2 changes over time. Okay. CO2 changes over time. So here we are. So to recap this, we can even do like a new if possible. So what is it? He's saying that can we recap onto these things? So you click like this. So this if you start, you just double click on CO2. Okay. If you drag and drop, it's gonna work. Drag and drop. is working, okay? Or double click on this CO2 per capita, double click on it, and you have it there. And you also want to double click on the year. The year is here. Why should you do that? Because you want to track from 1960 till today, well, 2011. Double click on it, boom. You have it right now. And it's looking good. And then we want to drag country. This is the country. We wanna drag the countries and drop it over here. Boom. Okay, and looking good so far. But then what about it's like this color is like a even. There's no changes whatsoever. We wanna get the carbon emission to the color. Okay, boom. What do you think? Now, the lighter the color, you are good to go. The thicker the color, you are in trouble. And we want to match the color with the world map color over here. Okay, so let's click this and get everything back. Green, you are good. Red, you are in trouble. And in visualization, colors matters. And that's where we say, okay, let's double click on the color and then edit color. And on the color palette, currently is on automatic Tableau thing. This is good. It's good. Okay. But some of you say, when we say greenhouse, why can't we change green? You are good. Red, you are in trouble. And we implement the idea. We say, this sounds good. And this is where we want to look for green. We want to look for green. What is green? So green, red, green here, red, green, yeah, boom. And when it's red like this, it still doesn't make sense, because you wanna reverse that. When you are in red, you are in trouble. When you are green, you are happy days. So this is how we've done that, and click OK, boom. So Augustus, I believe this is your questions being answered. Any question, guys? 2 hours is gone. Let's see if you have other questions. Otherwise, go and do your visualization. Some of you have done it already. And the fact that you've done it, do it for your countries. So you have 2 visualization. You're going to have the world map like this, and but we are interested in your dashboard. Okay, we're interested in this dashboard for the whole world. Okay, and dashboard for your country alone. So if I click back here like this, then I got, this is everybody. Okay, this is for everybody. This is for every country. But if I just want one UK, then I have to filter. I have to drill down. Okay, yeah, totally agree. Taiwo is suggesting that I should review page where the steps is located. Yeah, actually, I just know it by heart. So I was trying to follow the steps. There isn't steps, so I started just using my analytics way of doing it. But I will review this. So there is something that is missing there. I will review, and then the future presentation would be fantastic. Good, love it. Also, well, any question? This is how you're going to make your report. Let's see. Okay. See, that's what I'm saying. All these things we're supposed to be following these steps, okay? But all of a sudden we just dive in. We just dive in, and we were not following the steps. Okay. So we want to put the filter on the map. filter out chart. Okay. Okay. So let's click on kata and see the dynamic it moves. Okay. We've done that without looking at this thing. Okay, let's click on it again to view it. And then let's add a title to our vis and publish it. We can also publish in the social media, Facebook, something. So when you get to this level, watch this. This is your dashboard. Okay, so you want to go and publish it. You guys become nearly just 3 times doing this, you become actually expert. You are already to engage in the visualization live. So what do you want to do now? You want to say save to Tableau Public as. Boom. Okay, and I'm going to delete this because I've got so many on there. But you have to do it. You have to do it. Okay, I'm just going to leave it book 1 like that. Today something today because I'm going to delete it. So many something going there. Okay, today book 1 at LASU. Okay, something like that. But you give it a name, give it a proper name, and then say save. Watch this. Boom. That's it. Okay. An error counted attempting to save the files. All right. So if you come across this, just click OK. Just click OK, and then you're gonna come and log out. Okay. So some of you may come across this. I have dropped an instruction on how, if you come across this problem, you should you should be in a position to fix this problem. Okay, so if you're having a problem with this, we're gonna deliberately do something like that for the 5 students that I'm going to be talking to. Will be in a position to sort you out. Oh, they say the projector is off. Okay, so if you guys let me know once is done. So from here, what we want to do, we want to stop recording because we actually finished our visualization. We got the insight. So for now, let me just pause it because the projector is gone off.